Hi there, and welcome back to the channel. So I usually track, on the channel. I mean, on camera. But I was at home, and a couple weeks ago, I've been looking for a video on bass playing, like different like patterns you can use, bass like blues patterns and stuff. And so I went looking. I found this video, and now I can't remember the guy who does the lessons, but I'm going to link it because it was really helpful. It was like 5 basic blues lines or whatever. Didn't know any of these because I basically, I'm paint by numbers on all this stuff. I had, real training. I played in the band and all that stuff when I was like in junior high. I learned how to play piano, sight reading and singing, sight reading and French horn, tuba. But for whatever reason, I never applied any of that to rock music. I just did it like the way most people do. And so I really like to learn this kind of stuff because, like I said, I'm pretty paint by numbers, as a musician. So the little walk that I learned goes something like this. It's like, let's see if I can get this to wake up. Oh, I gotta turn this on. So it's like, the part goes on from there, and I basically didn't want to like follow the just do root notes following the guitar, which is basically what I did, but I did add in this walk, this kind of, and it really helped the song. I can tell that it's going to help even more once I start singing, so I was excited about that. Now, like I said, I typically track these online, and it just makes me play better, and it just documents the experience. But I was hooking it up and trying to get familiar with the part, working on that little walking bit, and I started playing it, and it was working, so I was like, oh shoot, I can't send it to this right now, I'm going to go ahead and record it. And it was killing my fingers, so I had those taped up, because this bass, the action is just way too high on it. And I finally figured out how to adjust the bass. I found over at Vintage Guitar and Bass, I found a manual, and these front screws are all the way turned down, so I've got this as low as it can go. And so now I just get, and the tool, I tried to adjust the neck, but it's a really big truss rod. I don't know what the millimeter size of that is, but I'm going to just take it up to my guys at Everything Musical, Cody or Larry, and have them just straighten this neck back up, maybe get this action to where it's not so, if I could just get it like it is right up here, there's the neck bows. If I could just pick that up, I think I'm going to be in heaven with this thing. But my God, is this thing heavy. I mean, I think it's like 14, 15 pounds. I mean, it is insanely heavy. And I was able to play Alex's, our bandmate's bass the other weekend. It was a Gibson bass, but it's an EB3. It felt like lighter than my Les Paul. So this thing is just really heavy. Okay, so I got that part going. So what I usually do, recording bass with a microphone is kind of a nightmare for me. I used to do 1.5 inch tape on Tascam 38, and the compression and just trying to not surge and have the bass be kind of quiet, and all of a sudden, boom, when you hit the low notes. So I really appreciate being able to plug directly in. So the way I record bass is I go into channel 1, and I'm going to turn on the high Z, make sure the impedance is correct coming in. This is a low, really low millivolt signal, coming in. It's passive electronics. Okay, so I'm going to arm the track so it's red, right? And then I typically play bass with an effect, and I use Tube Pre. I've tried a bunch of other effects, and none of them sound quite right, you know what I mean? Alright, so I'm going to Effect, and I'm going to choose and you want to turn it on if you've got it off. And then the algorithm I chose is bass. There's also acoustic bass, but I chose bass. And the patch is number 5, Tube Pre. And I sometimes will play with the SVT one, but it just doesn't sound quite like an SVT. And then the hard cut, I believe, nah, I don't like that either. So this is the closest I get to like a tube amp tone that's pretty neutral, and just sounds natural and cool with a little bit of grit on it. I've got the parallel position on this humbucker on the Victory bass to get that kind of meaner tone. Okay, so I'll show you the part. The beginning has the original riff of the guitar, so I'll just let you hear that. I'll turn the bass off. And the original riff of the guitar is like this little octave thing. Okay, so I didn't want to play the bass copying that exactly, not the... I tried to do it and it just muddied it up a bit. It just sounds more like a guitar thing to do. So I just come down on the on the G, or it's not a G because we're tuned down a full step. It's like, I guess it's an F. And then I go. And this is where we start the little walk that I learned from the video. So right here in the main part of the song it goes. I didn't do the chicka chick because the guitar does that a lot and I didn't want to cause a bunch of, interference. So then I go to the octave chord just like I played it on the guitar. This is the riff, and then okay, so I'm on channel 1. I've got the gain at about 1 o'clock. You have to play with that, get the right volume. High Z is on. To check your volume, go to Pan and Q, track 1. I want that at 100 unity gain. Then I'm going to hit 17 through 24 on the channel strip and take the arrow all the way to the master. It was at 101. I'm going to roll it back to 100. Then I take it back one more, hit 1 through 8, and then run it all the way back to track 1 so it's sitting there when I need it. Okay, now I'll play it back really quickly and you'll be able to hear exactly what I did because the bass part will be on there. I'm going to just kill, this won't be making any sound, I'll just be miming it. Alright, here we go. I'll try to get the guitars down a bit so you can hear the bass better. Okay, now all I'm going to do, there's not a lot of post-production involved with my tracks, especially the bass. I'm going to come out of the Zoom, use the USB to open the Zoom on the computer screen. I'll pull the bass track out and it'll be the last track I recorded. Let me see what number it is. By going to track, it is number 11. So I can go to number 11, drag it into Audacity. All I'm going to do is go to Classic Filters and cut it at 20 Hertz. I could cut it at 40, I could cut it at 100, but I want to hear that deep, rich bass, but I also want to get rid of any clutter. So I'll probably, shoot, I don't even know if I'll cut that one off because it was coming into Zoom. There's not any room, mud, or anything. Probably leave it as it is. Just go in there and name it bass, chuck it back out, and then drag it into here so it's named. That might be what happens. But regardless, it's the same process I've used timeless, over time. And you can watch a lot of videos if you're interested in seeing what I do with post-production, which is basically nothing. It's typically cutting it at the classic filter at like 20, and every once in a while, 20 Hertz, every once in a while I'll need to boost by like 3 dB or reduce by 3 dB. Something like that, and that's an amplify. But other than that, I don't do anything. I don't like noise reduction. It adds artifacts of noise that I can tell are there. It's like a squeeze tone. And what else? I do all the compressing if I use it in effect here. I don't like to compress on the way out. It starts sounding really pushed. Sounds like a mid-2000 CD. Go back and listen to some of those. They're really distorted. Alright, hopefully that helped. Bass guitar, direct in, number 1, high Z on. Pan EQs at 100. And then you go to effect and pick your algorithm and the bass. Whichever one you want to use, or you don't even have to use one at all because it still sounds good. Plug directly in. Next time.